Hi there, this is Nicole DeBoer, also known as Lieutenant Ezri Dax from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And welcome to Star Trek Fleet Command.
Fancy intro music, yeah! Woo! Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and a little bit late, I guess, a few days late after the end of TNG Part 1, we've got Part 2 coming up here Tuesday, so we're like 2 days away from it. So I wanted to take time and actually got to jump in DJ's podcast a few days ago and talked about this and kind of give my grading of the TNG Arc Part 1. Now, before we get started, let me explain what I'm using to really kind of compare this to. One, I'm mostly comparing it to previous Arc 1, so Borg Arc 1, Outlaw, Discovery, all those. And comparing that to what those month-long arcs have looked like and what is that translated to into the game itself. And then I'll grade kind of off that scale. I'll also be grading from just an enjoyability standpoint and things like that. And what I'll do is I'll go over every little individual piece or most of the key pieces, and then I'll grade based off that and like do a final grade. Now, if you disagree, well, I want to hear down below. As always, I'll pass feedback along to the devs who are running those events and be like, yo, this is what they think about it versus what I think. And of course, DJ and them do the exact same thing. And we provide feedback throughout the arc as it's happening. So a lot of your complaints were already heard. Like if you hated the rare ticket system, which you'll see what I grade that here in a minute, don't worry. They already know what you think about that, but feel free to repeat it. So let's just roll it out. Yeah, so first off, starting with the officers, and I'm actually giving this an A in officers. And a lot of you are going to be like, why would you give it an A? Beverly, Crusher, Geordi, Data, we're not easily sourced, and we only got these. And a lot of players who've been around a while don't like the next gen officers. I absolutely love them. And for new players, I think it's very important to remember why they're so great. It really changes the experience for starting the game. Now, you are going to notice that most of these are just copies of the cadets, and that's fine. They're season 1 versions of the next generation crew, but this is how you now start the game. So if you were to create a brand new account, instead of starting off with the basic cadets, you're going to start off with these, and the first one that you actually get is the TNG Counselor Troy, and then you work on getting Crusher, and you work on getting LaForge. And this also gives early players 2 hostile crews. So they can run LaForge, Crusher, Chin, and then they can run Cadet Uhura, Cadet McCoy to Lime. So now they can have 2 ships doing hostile grinding, one of them going after swarms, which I'm already doing at level 16, one of them going after battleships to complete your dailies. It is a very nice feature, and because of that, what that meant is they gave 5 officers to all players. So normally we're like, well, we want to be able to unlock the officers immediately. And if you paid or won auctions, you did get these 3. But if we're being honest, only Crusher was really great for everything early on, with the Unshakable being something that a lot of people like for hostiles and armadas. She is a really good hostile card and a good armada card. But then you have Data and LaForge, who are very specific in how they work. Now, LaForge, I'm not in love with. I think he's good for a particular purpose with Field Strip, Fusion Reactor, which is okay, I guess. And then the Mind's Eye, which is for, those Klingon armadas. Very useful, I guess, for a very particular thing. And then I hate that it keeps resetting. Stop resetting. And then, of course, Data with Effort yields its own rewards, which is an interesting run with the mitigation runs. And then, of course, the Positronic Precision. But as a whole, officers I really enjoyed, and I felt like that was a good addition to the game. So let's move on to some of the other stuff. I'll actually open up my item menu as we talk quickly about the missions. Missions in general, I was kind of meh on. I thought that they were good. Some of the storyline could have been tweaked a little bit to make it a little bit easier to follow. I thought there was a good job of dropping some hints in there and how that worked. So I'd give it a solid B. Maybe a B-. It wasn't amazing, but it was also more entertaining than some of the other missions have been if you actually sit down and read through them. And DJ actually did something that I used to do, probably should do again. He actually played through the mission storyline, so you can go and read it if you're one of those that just happens to click through, which I wouldn't be mad at you because I do the exact same thing most of the time. So let's just move past the missions because it's great, but nothing too crazy. And then move on to right here, our ticket system. So you see I've got rare tickets. I've got 30 saved up, and then I've got some 1,200 refresh. Now, obviously, in terms of this was not something a lot of people took a lot of value in. We'll talk about the battle pass in a second, but events in general, let's start with the rare ticket event. Hated the way it was sourced. in terms of the communication for how to get them. Also did not like that we went from 13 uncommon events to 7 and then supplemented that by throwing in the rares. I figure if you're going to do that, then keep the same number of uncommons, and that way we're not necessarily scaling back. And if we want to save those up as free to play to get the rares, fine, but don't make it into where it's like a twist your arm forced thing, which is what the rare events felt like, where essentially you're paying 4 times as much to get twice the rewards, and you kind of felt left out, like you had to purchase to get them. I feel like if we kept the same number of uncommon strings running, that'd be fine. But as an event, it was disappointing. But that's the only real disappointing event I had. I loved all the other stuff. My only complaint about the puzzle event was that it wasn't long enough. I enjoyed the way that the Battle Pass events got laid out in terms of ease of completion. I felt like this Battle Pass was not one that required me on my accounts. And that's so when I typically do the Battle Pass, I do it in 3 layers. I do it on level 39. Either 26 or 28, and then on a low level account like 14, 15, 16, something like that. And I didn't feel like it was as grindy as some of the previous ones have been. Now, was it still grindy at times? It was. There were a couple of days where I felt like I was doing 4 or 5 things, but there was more passive type grinding. You know, the mining has speed up greatly since it was in the past, and I just felt like some of them coincided. So we have events that overlapped, so it was easy to try to do some here that also completed this over there, which was nice. Was it perfect? No. But I don't want people to get the rare ticket system as ruining everything. I feel like the ticket system can get tweaked to where it won't be as annoying. And then, of course, I've got uncommons saved as well for some upcoming stuff. You know, I save things. It's what I do. Now, the Battle Pass rewards, I actually really enjoyed. Now, if you followed the videos, the actual resources and the uncommons, particularly the uncommons, increased again for level 34s that we definitely looked at. And 39s, I'm pretty sure, if I need to go compare 1-to-1, those increased. So the amount of rewards that you were getting, go back to our, materials page. That's not the right one. Our resources page. So the amount of this that I was getting seemed to definitely feel like it was increased. And I do know for a fact that the uncommons increased because I actually have the spreadsheets to compare them side by side. The Battle Pass I felt was good. The only problem with the Battle Pass was, of course, the fact that they were sourcing so many of those stinking these tokens right here. Let's just go back to them. Talk about them. Wrong one again, Rev. Good job. Is it under others? Is it under others? Let's scroll to the bottom. Yeah, right here. These, the assignment refresh tokens. Did not feel like there's a lot of value here. They obviously felt like there was a ton of value. I would much rather have had the normal stuff that we get when we're talking about, and when I say normal, I mean the faction credits, the loyalty badges, things like that. Way more valuable than assignment refresh tokens. And we just have to continue to like really push. Yo, none of this. More of the good stuff. Because I was not impressed with that at all. But that was the only the part that felt bad. I love it when we're getting sourced officers, independent credits, faction credits. That's what we want in a battle pass. The refresh tokens, hopefully they have evaluated that by the time the new one rolls out, because that was just a huge disappointment. And it really felt like it devalued the battle pass. But I still appreciate it for the uncommons and all those goodies. Next up on the list, and this is going to be a controversial one. My battle pass, by the way, I give an A. I felt it was, you know what, B+. Because I felt like it was good quality, but take out that one thing, which really felt like it tarnished it. Next up is the away missions. This was new, just came out. You see I'm holding at 25, saving my uncommon upgrades for when I have some different events coming up here soon, different things to participate auction-wise. So I've been holding off on that, but I felt like this was a great addition to the game. I give it an A. Now, I know a lot of people got frustrated because they could not complete of what they felt was enough in the first month. And my rebuttal is, yes, some of these events in terms of rewards can improve. And we are, of course, pushing for different things to get better. Some of the timers to go down. One of the best suggestions on DJ's pile was, a member talking about how the 24-hour, needs to go down to like a 2-hour so that we can better get in line with these assignment refreshes, things like that, to match up how some of the timers are in the event stores and everything, going like when you're doing your, like your refinery, where it's not exactly 24 hours. It gives you a little breathing room. I agree with that completely. It's like this one-day one, instead of being 24, would be 22 hours, or this 2-day one would be, 44 hours. A little bit of a scale back to make it easier, to make sure that we're getting as many missions as we can to line up with these refreshes. I felt like that was fantastic. But as a whole, I love the mechanic because it's a passive mechanic for stuff that we're not doing anything with. I never use Euro dice. or as DJ likes to correctly name her, Eurydice. Eurydice! I love using her in those missions because there'll be singular health missions that I will send her on that she can solo complete. I went right by her. And I never used this on a ship. I never used this mud on a ship. Now I'm able to throw those out into actually doing something passively. And it doesn't matter if I don't get 100% every time, because if I send out my 5-6 away missions, I'm hopefully going to get some things that I wasn't normally getting. So I feel like there's value in that. And for that, I give it an A. As a whole, I give the TNG Arc 1 compared to previous arcs and stuff an A grade. Was it perfect? No, that would be an A+. But I felt like as a whole, it improved the game, added much needed elements, added better community play, and there was even some things that for some people we saw improvements in lag and stuff like that in territory capture. Felt like there was a little bit of streamlining that went on in the back end, which is good. No, it's definitely not perfect for everybody. But they have been working on that as an issue. As I told y'all about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, that the dev team said that that was one of their priorities. And while we don't always agree with how fast they move, at least they're working on it. Whew. But as a whole, I give it an A. There are some things like the rare ticket sourcing, the communication for how that worked, and some of the other things I would definitely agree need to get changed. But what got implemented, I really liked, and I'll be happy to flame them if there's something I don't like or I feel the community really hates. And I felt like besides a couple things like the refresh token values and the rare ticket stuff, really wasn't that much to gripe about. But I want to know what you think down in the comment section below, as always, because if you disagree, you need to let me know. And doing that, that's all you got to do down there. No fancy intros or anything here. Just live long and prosper. Stay safe out there, Space Cowboys. We'll catch you on the next one. Appreciate your feedback. Love y'all.
Remember, Spock doesn't go on the Enterprise. Live long and prosper. All the best.
An even better outro than the intro for the Empire and glory to your house.